What's going on, you guys? Welcome to another episode of the Cover 3 podcast. I'm Dre, and I'm joined by my other co-host, Aaron of 49ers First Takes and Sterling of 49ers Access Podcast. You can find both of them on YouTube, on X, on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, wherever you go for your social media, you'll likely find all three of us, really, on the social media networks. But guys, today we're here to talk to you about the San Francisco 49ers. We're going to break down the latest injury report. We're going to talk about some latest trade rumors that could be going the Niners' way. We'll break that down as well. And of course, we're going to break down the matchup coming up between the Niners and the Houston Texans in Houston this Sunday at 10 a.m. Pacific time. I guess that's 1 o'clock Eastern time, and nobody cares. The West Coast is the best coast. But anyway, let's go into all that. But first, before we get into any of that, guys, how are you doing? Sterling, welcome back to the show. I hope you had a great vacation, you got some rest, got healthy, and now you're back.
Yeah, it was good. I spent a little over a week in the Midwest in Oklahoma, Ponca City, a very tiny town out there in the Podunk, northern Oklahoma area. But we're back here. Glad to see San Francisco win against the Falcons in prime time this past Sunday, and hoping the same thing can happen on Sunday morning against the Houston Texans.
Awesome. How about you, Aaron? How are you doing?
Pretty good. It's nice to have I love streaming with you guys on Fridays, so I look forward to it. It's not a headache like the Monday streams. It's a known thing. We go 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific every freaking Friday. I love it. I'm glad to be here.
Nice. Okay, so let me ask you, Sterling. I knew you were gone, so you didn't have a chance to talk to any of us because we talked to you on DM. The Niners run game, it all of a sudden was alive again this past Sunday night. How did you feel watching Christian McCaffrey run for big gains that he hasn't done all season long?
It was fantastic. I think we've all discussed for a long time as to why San Francisco's offense just has kind of been stuck in the mud. They're only averaging just about 20 points a game, and a big reason for their struggles have been the inability to run the football. So to see the offense find its groove on the ground was a big hopeful step for them this year. And I don't think it'll continue on Sunday against Houston because they have a top 5 run defense in football, but a great game against the Falcons. Words are hard. Nonetheless, my goodness. See, I'm still sick. My brain does not work yet, but we're here.
I know. It was such a breath of fresh air to see McCaffrey, actually be able to run the ball. And, the narrative that he's lost a step or two, I don't think, to me, that proves that, hey, look, when the Niners are actually opening up holes and creating running lanes for Christian McCaffrey, he'll become productive when he has somewhere to run the ball. But when he's running into the back of his own lineman, then he really can't go anywhere. So,
well, they went from the wide zone to the gap scheme, so maybe that continues as the year progresses.
Well, and that's the other question I have, too, is that do you think that they're going to continue to do the same thing, the same kind of run scheme that they did against the Falcons, or are they going to go back to their zone blocking run scheme?
I think they'd like to go back to the zone blocking run scheme, but Shanahan has been, over the last couple of years, going from wide zone to more an inside zone rushing attack. But I think what really helps San Francisco is the Niners do have smaller offensive linemen because they want to go out and pull their guards and get guys out in space and be able to take on linebackers and safeties and whatnot. And the Falcons have a really small defensive line. So I do think that that was probably a big reason as to why San Francisco went more with the gap running scheme. But I do think that if you ask Kyle, he'd like to go back to the wide zone stuff. But if it works, why change it? So whatever and however it has to continue to be successful, do it. I don't care what it takes, just do it. As long as you can find 5.4 yards per carry on the ground again against whoever your opponent may be each and every Sunday.
And real quick, you guys, we have some breaking news. Before we get to our injury report, we have massive breaking news. Let's go to that right now. Brandon Ayuk could possibly open, the Niners could possibly open Brandon Ayuk's practice window next week per Kyle Shanahan. He's addressing the media as we speak. So, guys, what do you think about this? Ayuk, his practice window could open next week. He might be back for I don't know about the Giants game, maybe the Rams game. Aaron, do you think he'll be back, or do you think this is just another bunch of BS?
The critical side of me wants to doubt any of this, but I mean, this is a lot different than some of the wording in, word Olympics or not word Olympics, word. I'm trying to think of the word used for John Lynch when he kind of says a bunch of stuff, but he says nothing. This is a little bit different. This kind of essentially says they have a window to have him start practicing, which makes me think that he's really close, which would be great. I'd rather see him stay and go. So yeah, I'm happy. Hopefully it works. Hopefully it works out. Hopefully he comes back within the next. I would, like you guys said, don't bring him back the Giants game. Bring him back for the Rams.
Okay, Sterling.
Yeah, I don't love those third and fourth words in that sentence of the report there by Kyle Shanahan. Could possibly. Okay. That doesn't leave a very definitive timeline, which I get it. Things are up in the air. You're playing it week by week with him, and there has been incremental improvement of Brandon Ayuk. You see him out there early in the year on the practice field, on the sideline and stuff, getting everything ready and looking healthier than he was in previous weeks. But I think week 10's kind of always been the target date. If they open it up, I think getting him on grass at home will at least help him. And you're hoping that by week 10, you have Purdy back, you have Pearsall back. And if you can have Ayuk back, it does allow you to integrate him slower into the offense, not needing to be, Brandon Ayuk, near all pro wide receiver once again instantly. I do think that there is maybe a thought they do push back his return if week 10 was the target date to week 12 against the Panthers at home as well. I think you want Ayuk on grass no matter who he's playing against in his first game. So if you can make that game at home, which they certainly can from weeks 10 to 12, I do think that stretch feels like a pretty good opportunity for him to return. And if they open it up in week 9, it gives them 21 days to activate him. So they would have a 3-week time period to see how he looks and if he feels healthy enough. And look, they can always activate him and have him be inactive too on game days if he isn't just ready yet. So I think they'll be fine. I hope Ayuk comes back because this team is better with Ayuk on it compared to guys like in previous weeks, MVS or Sky Moore or Russell Gage. So hopefully Ayuk comes back in the next 21 days or so and can be somewhat of an impactful piece for the offense again.
And we have more breaking news from the Kyle Shanahan presser. Let's go to that right now. Mac Jones will officially make his 6th start of the season per Kyle Shanahan. Brock Purdy is out with the turf toe. Guys, Mac Jones, love him or hate him, he's helping the Niners win games. My thing with him is, kind of like what Sterling was saying, in the past, I feel like, again, with Mac Jones, we're looking at like a Jimmy Garoppolo style offense. It's about a quick drop back, get rid of the ball fast, keep the sticks moving, but he's winning games. So, Aaron, are you happy to hear that Mac's starting again and that Brock's getting more time to heal?
I'm okay with it, mainly because, like you said, he's winning the 49er games. But as much as I kind of threw everybody into a tizzy when I said that, stay with Mac until you have a reason not to, I still think for what the 49ers want to do down the road, if they get the chance to become a playoff team this year, I still think Brock Purdy gives them the best chance to win. Somebody made a point about, and I don't know what channel it was on, that, Mac works well when everything's kind of perfect, which means like there's not a lot of pressure in his face. He's able to kind of make decisions quickly and throw the ball. You are very much accurate when you say that's very much a Jimmy Garoppolo type offense. And the Niners have a schedule this year where they're facing a lot of teams who are not super electric offensively, as far as scoring like 35, 40 points. So I'm sure they look at the schedule and they look at, people they're going against, and there's no reason to rush back Brock. I'm a little concerned with Brock because I think her last name's Rossini said that there was
Diana Rossini.
Yeah, like before the game, they're saying like his toe could go at any time, depending on the direction he leans into, and that it literally is, day by day kind of thing. So you never know who to believe with these injury reports, guys. I'm kind of don't take anything that is said or reported until somebody's actually playing or they've been ruled out, whether it's for 4 weeks or the season. To me, like when John Lynch talks, a lot of it is just he's kind of saying a bunch of nothing, really. Stuff we already know. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I mean, he's healthy. They've been playing well with him under center. They're going against, a Texans team that is beatable. So, whatever. Let's do it.
And I think at this point, he's the healthier option to go with. I've been saying it for a while, too, is that, when Brock is 100%, he needs to start.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want Brock to go out there and have a game like he did against the Jaguars where clearly he was not 100%. And I think that was kind of a wake-up call for him. I think he realized, you know what? I shouldn't have done this. But then again, Mac Jones was kind of beat up that week too. But I think that was like, hey, next time I come back, I need to be 100% because I need to be effective when I'm out there. Sterling, how do you feel about Mac Jones getting the start this Sunday?
I think it is exactly what everybody should have expected. like anybody thinking Brock Purdy was going to play on Sunday, I think is either an idiot or doesn't watch what's actually happening. Purdy's probably going to miss week 9 against the Giants too, as he should. I don't want Brock Purdy coming back on turf. It makes no sense. It's called turf toe for a reason.
Yep.
He should miss at least the next 2 weeks. I believe Purdy is traveling with the team to Houston, so there is some positive news there, albeit not playing. How much positivity is that? I don't know. I am not overly concerned about Purdy's recovery. I do think that they rushed him back. He rushed himself back. Whoever was the culprit for his rushing back against the Jaguars, it was a mistake. I think they realized it was a mistake. It cost him to get re-injured, and it cost him probably the next 4 or 5 games. Brock probably should have missed weeks 2 through 6 and been back week 7. That didn't happen, which thankfully it hasn't cost them, but I think there does need to be a conversation of maybe some negligence, whether it's the team, whether it's the coaching staff, whether it's the training staff, whether it is Brock himself, of like, okay, I get it, you want to play football, but the reality is you can't. And I think they have, I don't want to say learned from that, but they are taking more precautions with him now. However, not to harp on Kyle and John and the rest of the coaching staff, they're really good at what they do. Really good. Great coaching staff. In fact, San Francisco is 5-2 because of what their coaching staff has done. Robert Saleh has been awesome this year. Shanahan's been amazing this year with the play calling and how depleted the offense has been, including the receiver room and the quarterback room. Mm-hmm. He's made Mac Jones look like a first-round draft pick again, which I don't think anybody thought we'd see this season. That said, I think there does need to be a hard conversation that they kind of botched Purdy's recovery.
Absolutely.
Initially, at least. And I think that while San Francisco is 5-2, would you rather have Mac Jones be playing in week 9 and 10? Or would you rather have just sat Brock, albeit Jones was hurt against Jacksonville too, rather sat Brock and got him back in week 7, maybe 8? Who knows?
Yeah.
But I think that conversation can certainly steer back to, well, Mac Jones is playing really good football, albeit limited football. The ball's out quick. He's very decisive. It's on point. And I think that despite them playing the best defense at holding opponents to under 20 points per game this season, I feel like most Niner fans are pretty confident in Mac Jones. And I think more importantly, the team is, and so is Kyle Shanahan. So I feel pretty confident San Francisco wins this Sunday, but I'm also prepared to have Mac Jones have maybe one of his worst games because the defense in Houston is really, really good.
Yeah, no, they're one of the top-ranked defenses in the league. In fact, according to Fox Sports, the Texans have the number 4 ranked total defense, only allowing an average of 274 yards a game, and they've only allowed 11 touchdowns.
They're also the only defense to allow under 90 points so far this season. Now they already had their bye week, but only allowed 88 points so far through, I think, their 6 games in 2025.
Texans passing defense is ranked number 5. And their rushing defense is actually ranked, I must have missed it, right? I did. It's ranked number 10. So again, we're going against a team that at times can struggle against the run. We saw that last week against the Falcons. The Falcons, I believe, had the number 17 ranked run defense, and we took full advantage of them. Even losing Jake Brendel, which there's a lot of Niner fans that were like, yes. And we got not Brad, but Matt Hennessy. I keep calling him Brad Hennessy. Former Giant pitcher.
Giant legend.
Giant legend. Remember when he was the closer? I was like, oh, boy.
Him and Kevin Correa lighting it up.
Oh, my God. Kevin Correa. Jesus. So Mac Jones set to make the start against the Houston Texans. I think this makes a lot of sense. You don't want Brock coming back until he's 100%, and I don't think you want him coming back on turf. They're going to be playing on turf this week and next week against the Giants. It makes perfect sense to have him come back against the Rams in SoFi. So real quick, let's head over to Sterling. Sterling, why don't you give us the injury report, the Niners injury report? This injury report is brought to you by, oh my God, I said all of it, I lost it. It's brought to you by SeatGeek. So Sterling, what do you got for the Niners injury report going into Sunday's game?
This is via head coach Kyle Shanahan. The Niners are going to be without quarterback Brock Purdy because of the toe injury. Already gone through that. They're also not going to have center Jake Brendel and edge rushers Bryce Huff and Yetur Gross-Matos. More importantly, though, I guess you can say for fans that may have had high hopes Pearsall could return this Sunday, wide receiver Ricky Pearsall is not going to play due to the knee injury that he suffered, I think, against the Arizona Cardinals, if not the Jaguars, early in the season. We do have good news, though, because cornerback Deommodore Lenoir is questionable and in line to play on Sunday, according to head coach Kyle Shanahan, and linebacker Luke Gifford and Spencer Burford are also questionable. So some good news and some bad news, but ultimately having Demo back out there might be the best case scenario for San Francisco this Sunday.
Yeah. Absolutely. Thank you so much for that injury report. That was brought to you by SeatGeek. Use promo code DreAreaSports and save yourself up to $20 on your first purchase over at SeatGeek.com. Not only that, but you can also use promo code
49ers Access
and save yourself another $20. So you want beer, you want food at the game, Sterling and I are going to make sure you get that when you use promo code DreAreaSports and 49ers Access when buying tickets over on SeatGeek.com. There's also this bit of news I thought we should share as well on the other end of things. Wide receiver Nico Collins and Christian Kirk, that's a Trent Baalke guy, are going to be out against San Francisco. This is huge news for the Niners. I mean, you already got Renata Green a little banged up. You already got Deommodore Lenoir a little bit banged up with the quad. Not having to deal with Nico Collins or Christian Kirk, that's a huge benefit. And not only that, Kirk hasn't played all year. Not only that, but Tank Dell, of course, he's still out. So who becomes the number one option for the Texans? At receiver, Sterling?
Okay. Make sure you're talking to me. You could either pick rookies Jaden Higgins or Jalen Knoll, the two rookie wide receivers out of Iowa State, or their top other targets are Dalton Schultz, the tight end, who has had a really good season for them out there in Houston, and Xavier Hutchinson, third-year wide receiver, who I think only has 33 career receptions. So an unproven unit, but one that maybe could shock San Francisco if they come in there maybe a little more lackadaisical against Houston.
Now, this is a game, too, that some Niner fans are saying that the Niners might take too lightly. Like, it's a, what do you call it?
Trap game?
A trap game. I don't see how any game this season is a trap game with the amount of injuries they have. So that brings me to my next question I want to ask you guys. The Niners are down Nick Bosa. They're down Bryce Huff. They're down Fred Warner. But they continue to win games. I mean, they're 5-2 with a chance to go to 6-2, possibly 7-2 if they win the next two games. Should the Niners make a move to improve their pass rush, or should they make a move to improve their linebacking core? Aaron, what do you think? Should the Niners even make a move to improve their team at the trade deadline?
Absolutely. Not only because Bryce Huff is out, but because why not? I mean, if they're winning as a trade deadline approaches, and they're in the mix, you should always look to improve your team. I know the Niners are of the mindset that if they're going to make a move for somebody, it is not only going to make sense for this year, but next year as well. The Niners are probably weary of really giving away too much as far as draft capital, which I understand. They want to keep building through the draft. You could say they're going through like a little bit of a soft rebuild this year, but if it makes sense, like John Lynch says, I know John says that, he was asked, he said, maybe the Niners don't really need it, that they have enough what's in house. I don't believe that.
I don't believe it at all.
Especially with Sterling's favorite guy who's never plays, Yetur Gross-Matos. He's always hurt. He's always out. So why not try to get another body?
I mean, he has a legitimate hamstring injury. The guy can't just run on that.
Right, but he was hurt. He was hurt all last year too. So my whole thing is linebacker. No, don't make him. We got plenty of linebackers. We have Curtis Robinson. We have Nick Martin, who somebody in the comments asked whether he should be starting over Gifford. That's not my call to make, but I think the Niners are fine at linebacker. If anywhere they need to put in any investment into would be the defensive line. I'm always of the mindset that I'd rather go with two lesser known guys and add a little bit of depth to the line. I don't know if you guys are of that mindset, or do you like a one guy who's really good who can offer instant impact? There's Granderson from the Saints. There's also the other guy from the Saints. His name is escaping me. Defensive end.
Chase Young.
No, not Chase Young. Well-known Saint.
From who?
The New Orleans Saints.
It was Granderson.
It's Cam Jordan.
Cam Jordan. There we go.
Cam
Latu.
Yeah, I know that a lot of people were talking about.
Kenny was like Chase Young.
I know a lot of people were talking about.
He's like, I got you, Aaron.
Jalen Phillips or Bradley Chubb. I don't know where they go.
No, I don't think either one of those guys are from the Dolphins are going to be true trade targets. And
then Jermaine Johnson, of course, everybody keeps mentioning him from the Jets. Sterling, I'd love to hear what you have to say on any of those guys. Do they make any moves? Are you more inclined to say that they're not going to make a move and they might stick where they are? It's weird because of just the what they'd have to give up.
It's really confusing because on one hand you're 5-2, and if you win on Sunday you're 6-2, and you are at least vying or you're staying as the number 2 seed in the NFC. You're atop the NFC West still, and then you're walking into Sunday in next weekend against the Giants with a pretty good chance to be 7-2. Now, I'm of the mindset that San Francisco's not going to make any moves and shouldn't make any moves until after that game, because we know what MetLife Stadium is like. It could be a bloodbath. Yep. And you really want to know who's going to be out for a while or who's healthy leaving MetLife, because that stadium is just a cursed hellhole for NFL teams and ACLs and hamstrings and ligaments and joints. So what he's saying is, Aaron, don't go to that stadium because you're fucked. Don't even watch the game, Aaron.
In the parking lot? Damn it!
That said, I do think San Francisco is not going to be in the market for Trey Hendrickson or Kayvon Thibodeau, despite maybe the alluring nature that those players bring. I think they are more inclined to buy a cheap one-year rental, guys that can add some depth. And if they go to the playoffs, which right now they're in a pretty good chance to do so, albeit it's still early in the year, I think they're going to walk into the playoffs if they get there with Micah Williams and Bryce Huff, barring health, being their top edge rushers. I can see them going for a guy like Joe Tryon-Choyinka from the Browns, who aren't a good defense, but maybe trying to find another third down pass rushing specialist to keep Michael on the inside on third downs and hopefully be able to beat teams on the interior. Sam Okawanu's fine. Bryce Huff is good. Michael hasn't been great this year, but I do think on the interior much better than on the edge. I think they should be trying to find guys that can keep Michael on the inside, not have him go back to the outside. So you hope you can get Gross-Matos back soon. And I just think right now San Francisco's kind of in a bind because they're not really in a position to go all in. And I think that's going to frustrate some fans. And I get it because of the record, and the schedule ahead is pretty easy for them. And you don't want to waste opportunities like this with somewhat of an aging roster and core. That said, it's really hard to have your front office buy completely into a team that is averaging roughly 20 points a game and doesn't have their two best defensive players. So if San Francisco can survive the next 2 weeks and win those games and not be decimated by injuries, then I think we're having a serious conversation of buying maybe a mid-tier piece and hopefully piecing things together and kind of taping things together to maximize the rest of the year.
So we talked about, obviously, we've talked ad nauseum about Trey Hendrickson, if the Bengals would be willing to part with him. Obviously, I would offer, for me, I would give up a second-round pick. If he agrees to an extension coming over, then that's a whole different story. If we're getting him for one season, I don't know if a second-round pick is worth giving that up, because that's a guy you want to keep on your roster for the future. But there's also talk about some other players that are on the trade block, one of which is the Bengals star linebacker Logan Wilson, who requested a trade from the Bengals. So this is a guy they could look at. But to me, I think that you stick with the guys you have. I like their linebacking core. I think it right now it represents the depth they have on the team. You got Winters and Bethune, and Nick Martin, Curtis Robinson. I don't know if bringing in a linebacker is what the Niners need to do in order to improve their defense. Their defense has played fairly well with the injuries they've had. Granted, they haven't had an interception, but which is kind of strange. So when it does happen, we're all going to freak out. But here is another player that wants to be traded. On top of that, there's been buzz about Quinnen Williams possibly being traded out of New York, that he's unhappy there. He doesn't want to be there. Sterling, do you think the Jets would be willing to part with Quinnen Williams or even another player and get rid of two players to get more draft picks and compensation?
Yeah, you would think that the Jets, being winless so far this year and looking like a team that will probably be picking near the top of the NFL draft once again, if not number one during the NFL draft, that you'd like to sell off some pieces. I just don't like. Woody Johnson's a really bad owner, and bad owners do really stupid things. I just don't know if Aaron Glenn, who's a defensive-minded head coach, would be willing to part ways with young, good, and in Williams' case, great defensive players, knowing his offense is so bad. Now, maybe they can, maybe they will, and they'll find new guys in the draft to help recoup draft picks, but I'm not of the mindset, like, they're not paying many people. They're not paying a lot of guys a lot of money. They're going to have plenty of salary cap. I know the Aaron Rodgers contract certainly complicates things for them now that he's no longer with them, but they're paying part of his deal still. I just don't see the Jets parting ways with stars. Like, I think if they were going to do that, last offseason made sense to do so. Equip your new regime with all those draft picks this year, not next year. Now, I don't know what the contract status of guys like that are, so forgive me, but I just don't think Aaron Glenn's going to go in there and say, hey, Woody Johnson, let's trade our entire defensive core that Robert Saleh built to teams like, let's say, like who's getting Quinnen Williams? The Chiefs? The Lions? The Rams? Like, I just don't see the Jets willing to move off guys like that. However, I also wouldn't be shocked to see San Francisco at least make those calls because, as we always hear, they always make those calls.
They do. And, Quinnen Williams would be a huge upgrade. I know that he's been on IR, but still, this guy is a force when he's healthy. And it's an area that, look, he's a defensive, he's a D tackle, I want to say. So, yes, that would strengthen your defensive line, but to me, they still need help on the edge because I like the idea of not having Mykel Williams solely be on the edge. I like being able to put him on the inside as well. So I think getting an edge rusher would help the Niners a lot as opposed to getting a defensive tackle. But Quinnen Williams would be pretty good. I mean, I'd almost be willing to give up a second-round pick just to get this guy. I mean, this guy, he's only 27 years old. He's still young. He's really good.
Right, but what do you think San Francisco values more? And Aaron, jump in here too. Like, do they value having Quinnen Williams for however how long his contract is, and he's a good player, or do they value the the cap flexibility they need to have going into the future after paying guys like Purdy and Kittle and Warner and still paying Ayuk and going to have to pay other guys down the road.
Yep.
And not willing to lose that second round draft pick, which may be in the early 20s, could be in the high teens, depending on how bad the season goes or if things take a turn for the worse late in the season. Do you think they would value having Quinnen Williams over, let's say, a first round pick or a low end second round draft pick, which this team probably values a lot, knowing they're trying to restock and kind of reboot their core heading into the next 2 or 3 seasons?
I think Alfred Collins' ascension to me, and CJ West started, he was looking like the one that was kind of on the up and up, but has the injured hand or fingers, whichever.
He's back.
And
he's been a contributor, though. I
just think that would stunt the growth of guys that you're trying to, this young new core that you're trying to build on this defense, and you don't have to pay them a lot of money. I think bringing someone in like Quinnen Williams would do a complete disservice. And like you said, now you have to sacrifice money into the future, money that you're trying to save for other contracts or just money that they want to have just in case down the line. If they're making any moves at the trade deadline, and depending on who you listen to, John says maybe we don't do anything. We might be good where we are. But then there's a report that comes out that says that the Niners are definitely looking to make a move at the trade deadline. I can't see them doing anything really out of this world. It's going to be somebody that like you said, a lot of 49er fans are going to be like, that's the guy that we're making a move for. And it's yeah, because we're doing essentially what the Rams did a couple years ago, which is kind of, rebuild and be competitive at the same time, if that's possible to do, and shed salary. So as much as I would love for them to make a move and get themselves another edge player down the stretch, especially with winnable games, just based on what they did this year with the shedding of salary, I don't see it. Now, I hope we're wrong and somebody comes over here and they're affordable, but I think a lot of 49er fans or the trade deadline's going to pass, and we're going to have a lot of pissed off 49er fans who are going to say we're cheap, which we're not. We've made some pretty great moves at the trade deadline over the past couple of years, so people need to step off that thing, saying that we're cheap.
It seems like they're more in the market for players like Jordan Willis and Charles Omenihu compared to Chase Young's and Randy Gregory's, which I know Gregory was really cheap, but it does feel like that they're not going to buy high-end players. They're going to buy cheap dudes that they can keep around for a while, add some depth to their roster, and hope to kind of fortify behind the young guys they are banking on ascending into being good to elite players down the road.
I remember Lombardi was big on Randy Gregory. Randy Gregory is a great pickup for San Francisco. I was like, oh my God, come on.
He sucked ass for about 2 games and got benched and couldn't play anymore.
But then, he had he forced the fumble in the Super Bowl, so I was like, dude, I love this guy. And then
Vindicated.
Vindicated. Hey, I'll tell you what, man, it doesn't take much. Barry Zito for the Giants, horrible contract. But then in 2012, when he helped them win the World Series, contract was worth every penny. Every penny.
Saved their season twice.
And then what was the other guy? Aaron Rowan. I was like, this guy sucks. And then in the playoffs, he threw out. He had a throw to home plate, and he threw the guy out and saved us a run. I was like, contract was worth every penny.
You know when he broke his nose in Philadelphia against the wall and he was gushing blood?
I know.
Legendary.
Okay, so Albert Breer had this to say about the Niners and their aging core. He said this is going to be a big issue for San Francisco. He said the bigger part of the equation for the Niners is that their core is aging. Fred Warner, Bosa will be turning 30 and 29 when they return next season. Trent Williams will be 38 on opening day. George Kittle just turned 32. Next year will be Christian McCaffrey's 10th in the NFL, which at tailback is like playing 20 years at quarterback. So I think San Francisco has to be honest with itself.
Yep.
And that'll mean asking hard questions. such as whether the team without Bosa and Warner is capable of competing for a championship as presently constituted. Because if it isn't, it may not be worth flipping future assets that could inject youth into the roster. Okay. Sterling, what do you think about the words of Albert Breer? Do you think he's got a point here?
I mean, yeah, sure. Everyone else's core is aging too, though. And like no one else was complaining about the aging of Travis Kelce and Chris Jones and Patrick Mahomes and
right, but he's talking about the Niners. I mean, do you think the Niners are going to ask themselves, like, hey, wait a minute, should we really be making a move? These guys are getting kind of old.
I mean, no, it depends on how good those guys are as they age. And so if Fred Warner comes back and isn't the same guy, and Bosa comes back and isn't the same guy, and you question, we don't have elite level linebackers and edge rushers anymore, and your quarterback, Brock Purdy, who I think does have some injury issues, can't stay healthy for a second consecutive season. Or I guess now be a third consecutive season if he does miss part of next year too. I think that's when it becomes a concern, but that's a whole lot of ifs, ands, and buts. We have no idea what's going to happen next year. Fred Warner could easily come back and be awesome and look like the same guy, which I would believe he will be. It's not an ACL, it's an ankle injury, which shouldn't cost him too much of his career. And Bosa's gone through 2 ACLs in the past, and you hope the third one isn't the ender, but I would bank on Nick Bosa still being a really good player, barring health, when he returns. And that's why you have young guys around them. And it's why the draft picks matter a lot. So I think what San Francisco realizes is that, hey, yeah, our core is aging. Yeah, we do have guys getting older and are at some point in time going to take a step back, Kittle, Warner, Bosa, and company. And it's up to us to be able to maximize that window with younger guys to help build them up around them. So I think what you're trying to see, or what I'm looking forward to, is in a way the Niners taking what the Warriors did, I think it was in 2021, with the young core. And look, now it didn't work in the future, and guys are gone. And
2 timelines.
Right, like that was a confusing thing that the Warriors didn't really buy into. That was a ownership group, then a head coaching, like not being on the same page issue. I don't think that's the case in the NFL because Shanahan basically is part of the GM spot as well. So I think that like the Niners are going to value their, first 4 rounds of draft picks and hope to find guys late in drafts that can help maximize this group. But I'm not too concerned about it. Matthew Stafford's 37 years old. He's playing great football. He is, but the odds are he's not going to last 2 more years, right? And if McVay's kind of already hinted towards retiring once, if Stafford's gone, is McVay gone? I don't know. The Cardinals are a mess. Sam Darnold has 10 weeks till he turns back into a pumpkin. So I don't know. There always seems to be this overwhelming doom and gloom around San Francisco. Oh, no, now's the year they're going to be bad. And they're never bad. They haven't been bad since 2019, outside of the really 2 bad seasons of injuries. So if they're healthy, which is a big if, they're going to be just fine.
I mean, they're getting a lot of guys back this year. I mean, they just got back George Kittle. They're going to be getting back, hopefully, Brandon Ayuk. But Aaron,
tell me, why am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong. In fact, Kittle, Kelsey's still playing into his 30s, right? Trent Williams may be going out the door this year, so they're going to get younger at tackle.
He's still an above-average left tackle playing good football.
Right. So they're going to get younger there. Fred Warner, are pass rushers. You got you have Von Miller playing almost till 40, and he's still looked at as a semi-decent pass rusher almost at 40 years old. I think people are overstating the 49ers' age. I still think this core has a good 3 to 4 years left in them, honestly. And by that time, you're going to have younger players around them drafted and brought in here that if guys decide to move on, as long as John and Kyle are here, I know that they have a plan. They know what they're doing. They've proven it since 2017, and they built this team up. This team has been a 2-time Super Bowl appearance, 4 conference championship games. That's nothing to sneeze at. Anytime I try to compare the 49ers woes to my brother's Dolphins, my brother tells me to pretty much kick rocks. He's like, your team's in the playoffs every year, this and this and this. We can't build a good team. And he makes me realize how, appreciative and how 49er fans, I think we've gotten kind of spoiled a little bit. I would love for them to make a move at the deadline. I really do. I really would, especially if they think they can make a run for it. but I'm not going to do it at the expense of the future. The only thing I got to say about that, Sterling, is if they have a good year this year, they're going to be picking in like the 20s. Are they going to keep all those picks next year, or are they going to start packaging picks to get fewer picks closer up, in the draft? Because like they're going to be sitting pretty at like 25 next year and in the draft order. I mean, that's the only thing. Like, are they okay with that? I mean, you built the core this year with at least 5 players because we drafted in the top 12 or 14, somewhere around there. But next year we're going to be, unless the Niners have a monumental second half collapse of the season. That's the only thing I'm questioning is like, we're going to have all these picks again with compensatory, but we're also going to be drafting farther back. Do the Niners look at that and say, okay, maybe we bring in somebody at the expense of a couple draft picks? I don't know.
Well, I think that's actually a good point, because a lot of people, including myself, would like to believe they're going to draft a left tackle in the first round to help, whether it's play behind Trent for a year and learn and then take over for him in 2 years' time once he retires. But Trent's playing pretty good football. Yeah, there's injury concerns there with his ankle and whatnot. But if you are picking at 25, what are the odds you find a franchise left tackle, right? Now, maybe that makes San Francisco comfortable not taking a tackle and finding some other guys, whether it's a center or a linebacker or a cornerback or whatever it may be in the first round instead. I do wonder that if, like, in some roundabout way, because I'm not going to sit here and complain about being a good football team, because that's what poverty franchises do, in San Francisco's not that. But sometimes being good can kind of screw up your game plan like the Niners aren't rebuilding, but they're retooling. And being a good football team and picking at 25 or if not higher, could be a problem as to finding the cornerstone players they want. Now, they found Pearsall there. They found Ayuk there. They found Deebo Samuel and Kittle and Greenlaw and DJ Jones and other guys in rounds, 1 picking at 25 and beyond to round 7. They like a lot. So I think a lot of the draft things of, it really depends on the class itself, who's on the board. And the Falcons traded away 2 first-round draft picks for James Pierce. He was a non-factor last Sunday.
That was a horrible trade.
Which, you gave the Rams a first-round draft pick. Thanks, Atlanta. But I think San Francisco's aggressiveness is simply based on who's on the board at the time. And I think John and Kyle have never been afraid to make draft day trades up or down. The unfortunate part is they seem to get somewhat complacent in round 3 when they actually should be more aggressive in round 3 with their trading up to get offensive linemen. But it's a conversation for a different day.
Okay, well, let me ask you guys this, though. Oh, go ahead, Aaron. Go ahead.
My thing is what do fans want? Do you want a team that picks in the top 12 every single year? And we're the talk of the draft, how great of a draft we're having, and it's no doubt this. Or would you rather be a playoff team or a Super Bowl team where you're picking at like 25 to 32? You got to take your pick. Now, it's okay to have an off year and maybe fall back a little bit, and then you're able to kind of like what they did this past year.
Kawachito, come on.
Who cares?
I mean, he's not wrong. He's not wrong.
I feel like 49er fans in the past were so enamored with these great draft. I mean, the reason we have a Nick Bosa is because we sucked. You know what I mean? Like, there's a reason why some of these players on our team are here. Nick Bosa being probably the most prominent one was because we sucked, and we were a top. We got a pick in the top 3.
Number 2. And it was mine, Arizona.
Yeah, and so
they took Kyler Murray.
They took Kyler Murray, and we got Nick Bosa. And guess what? We got 2 Super Bowl appearances out of it. We
should have 2 Super Bowl championships, but I'm
not going to say their names, so okay. But yeah, like my whole thing is don't do nothing at the expense of the future. But at the same time, if you're drafting later, maybe you do, because you're like, okay, I'm picking at 25. The player that I pick up in free agency and is probably not going to be as good as the player I pick, or the player I pick at 25 is not as good as the guy I get in free agency. I mean, maybe they look at it that way. I just don't think, like, the Hendrickson thing that everybody is fantasizing about, there's no way that's going to happen. It's not going to happen.
We never know.
And people just need to let go of it. I know it gets clicks and engagement, and you're smart if you use that thumbnail over and over and over again, but it's not going to happen.
You never know. I mean, if they trade a second round pick,
it's not going to happen.
It could happen.
I'm using that thumbnail.
Look at my views. It totally worked out. I would only make that move, like I said, if he agrees to an extension and you get him for at least 2 or 3 years. If he's coming over just for one, forget it. And then Max Crosby, I'm sorry, I don't think that's ever going to happen. I think the Cowboys have a better shot at getting him.
I would definitely get the jersey though, because you know.
Yeah, you're gonna have to. Okay, so let me ask you guys this: the Niners parted ways with some defensive line players this past offseason.
What? You're going purple.
Okay. they parted ways with Malik Collins, Javon Hargrave.
Yeah.
What's his name? Lloyd. What's that?
Leonard
Floyd. In hindsight, should the Niners have hung on to 1, 2, or any of these guys based on the injuries that they've taken on this season? Sterling?
I mean, you'd like to say yes, but Hargrave's contract was too big, so there's
too big.
that.
He had to go.
But I do think that San Francisco had Leonard Floyd and Malik Collins, especially under contract for really cheap. And now with the injuries they have, it's easier to say. And I've said it plenty of times on X or Twitter of like, I'd love to have those guys back because they're having good seasons. However, you got Bryce Huff, you drafted Micah Williams. You wish Yetur Gross-Matos was healthy, and you wish you weren't relying on guys like Robert Beal Jr. and Travis Gibson to be your 3rd and 4th edge rushers in week number 8 against the Houston Texans. So, I mean, yeah, to a certain extent, sure, but I think I'm also equally as pleased with Jordan Elliott's ascension as being a out of nowhere good pass rusher and a pretty good run defender again. So I do think that, there's room to sit back and have some regret of letting guys go and everything, but you're kind of going back to the whole free agency doesn't really matter as much. Like San Francisco lost so many pieces in free agency, and they lost those pieces to the Browns and the Falcons and the Broncos, who they, if not have an equal record to, are a far better team than. So I think San Francisco did fine. Do I wish they didn't draft at this point in time guys like Nicholas Martin because they can find more instant impact players? Yeah, maybe, but I like what Nicholas Martin brings and Jordan Watkins can bring and Jordan James can bring. But I mean, I don't know. It's like they're doing fine.
Well, I mean, you look at a guy like Malik Collins, who's actually having a really good year.
Yeah, been tremendous
Cleveland.
this year. Yeah.
He's he has a PFF grade of 89.8 for interior defensive lineman. He's actually ranked number 1. So that could have been somebody that could have been on the Niners defensive line, and yet they decided to part ways with him. Aaron, do you think any of them should have stayed? Floyd, Malik Collins.
Probably Leonard Floyd, just because they would have had another guy on the edge, a proven guy that we could.
I was surprised they parted ways with Leonard Floyd. I thought for sure they were going to keep him.
So was I. Interior wise, I mean, who's Malik Collins playing next to right now? You know what I mean? That might have something to do with how well he's playing.
He plays in the same line as Myles Garrett, so that always helps.
That can help. I mean, guys play next to Nick Bosa, when we had Eric Armstead and Buckner, and look how incredible they all were. I mean, sometimes it's a combination of players. But yeah, it would have been nice to have another edge guy. Here's the thing. This is where I keep going back to Gibson and Beal. John Lynch, I love you to death, but you can't be serious when you say that we're comfortable with the guys we have in the building when those are the 2 guys you have in the building. Like, Get out of here. Get out of here with that. I understand if they don't want to make a move because they're trying to save assets for the future. But if you think that those 2 guys are good enough to get you wins down the stretch based on their talent, come on now.
That's a PR move. I mean, come on. You want him to be like,
totally.
No, I don't think we have enough talent, to compete. We got to get somebody in here. It makes them look desperate. It disrespects the players on the roster. Of course, he's going to say, I think we got enough talent right here. And they're going to be like, yeah, right. Fuck yeah, we do. Yeah, let's go, Travis. Yeah, let's get out there. No, he's trying to pump up his own team.
Travis.
Let's go, Travis. Let's hopefully get a pressure today.
To be fair, he did cause a fumble against the Rams, so there's that.
And to be fair, the Niners got a lot of pressure on Michael Penix. And again, having a defensive coordinator like Robert Saleh, who, I'm sorry, there's been a lot of talk. He's leaving. I want him to stay. He's probably going to leave.
Okay. I would agree with you.
Very good
Where?
question. Where would he go?
Where? Exactly.
I think because why would he go to Tennessee? That's a train wreck.
Bad ownership group. He's not going to go there. He's not going to the Giants. They're a mess. They already drafted a quarterback. The defense is in place, but ownership also is a little sketchy.
Cleveland, not good. It's
No,
if they
he's
part
not
ways
going
with
there.
Stefanski.
But that's like, you think he wants to walk into a place that has 5 quarterbacks and is paying a sexual predator?
Exactly.
Probably not.
I think where he could end up if they decide to part ways with their second year in coach would be Arizona. If Arizona feels that Jonathan Gannon is not the right fit and they can get Robert Saleh in there instead, they might go that route.
But do they want to go back-to-back defensive coaches?
Yeah, but I mean, look what he's done with this Niners
Cardinals
defense and the injuries.
Right, I get that, but the Cardinals are better off trading Kyler Murray, getting an offensive mind in there, drafting a quarterback, and figuring things out that way.
They need to get rid of Kyler Murray. He's not the answer.
Coaches do not get you Super Bowls.
No,
they don't.
I think people are overplaying. I think people are overplaying Saleh and his popularity as a head coach.
Look what he's done. It's crazy.
Right.
But he is
completely right.
The Niner fans overvalue Saleh than the National. No, I don't think so at all. Look what he's done with the amount of injuries on this defense. His 2 key players are gone.
But I think what Aaron's getting at is that, yes, the impact he's had on San Francisco should not be understated. It's been the biggest free agent signing they had during the offseason. However, there's a difference in being the best defensive coordinator in football or being a top 5 defensive coordinator in football and being a good head coach and that can make all those decisions. Some people, maybe Robert Saleh, are just better off being coordinators, like Steve Spagnuolo, guys like that.
That's what my brother said. He said he just thinks that some guys like a Vic Fangio or the defensive coordinator on the Chiefs, Spagnuolo wasn't a good head coach.
Yeah,
but he's an incredible defensive coordinator. I think 49er fans are overstating his greatness. He's great at what he does and where he is right now. And I could be wrong, but I think he's going to be here for the next 3 years.
I would love that.
You'd love that, but
I don't think he will be, though.
I think he wants to be a head coach, and rightfully so. Who wouldn't want to be? You get paid millions of dollars. Even if you suck, you get fired. You keep the money anyways. But looking at the teams that need head coaches, the Jets are a mess. They just hired Aaron Glenn. I don't know what's going to happen out there. He's not going back to the Jets anyways.
No.
The Dolphins are a mess ownership-wise. There are higher odds McDaniel comes back to San Francisco than Saleh goes to Miami. There is one team I do think may actually make a lot of sense for Robert Saleh.
What team is that?
If the Buffalo Bills don't win a Super Bowl this year,
Ooh.
Sean McDermott could get fired. I could really see Saleh go out there. And I think that'd be a great spot for him. The offense would already be figured out basically. Just find some receivers and you're basically set. And their defense is also bad this year out there in Buffalo. And I think that could be a place for him. But the Ravens aren't firing John Harbaugh. He's not going to the Browns. Maybe the Bengals fire Zach Taylor, but I don't know what's happening in Cincinnati. They're also a mess. The Titans, he's not going there. D'Amico's not getting fired in Houston this year, maybe next year. D'Amico, sorry. Like the Raiders aren't firing Pete Carroll now. It's like there really aren't many spots left, and the spots that are left don't make sense for Robert Saleh. So I think there's only like one team that can make some sense, and that team is probably going to go to the playoffs, and only if they lose and don't go to a Super Bowl do I see him leaving, and that's the Buffalo Bills.
Buffalo does make a lot of sense, and what's interesting, you were talking about John Harbaugh. Check out this stat here. I thought this was absolutely insane when I saw this. Record when their starting quarterback is injured. Kyle Shanahan had 17-7. John Harbaugh 2-6.
Yeah, but Harbaugh's not calling plays.
And that's also all pretty much a Brock Purdy stat right there.
But on top of that, though, like you were saying, he's not calling plays. Kyle Shanahan is. I mean, he's got that load on him as well. And to me, that's why it's so important to have a competent defensive coordinator on the roster with on the coaching staff with Kyle Shanahan. I think when he has a competent defensive coordinator, we've seen this team go deep in the playoffs. We've seen them make the Super Bowl twice.
Is Shanahan's record somewhat skewed because of the 2022 season where Jimmy Garoppolo came in for Trey Lance and won like 7 games?
I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo, the game in Mexico, he looked phenomenal.
Yeah.
And then it was like, well, there goes that. As he tried to run away from Dolphin defenders, I was like, dude, just go down. What are you doing?
Was Jalen Phillips the guy that hurt him?
No, it was Wilkins.
Christian Wilkins?
Christian Wilkins.
I felt like Jalen.
He might have been. It was 2 guys, but I know Christian Wilkins was the one who actually landed on him.
He's been ostracized for kissing teammates on the forehead.
Yeah, he's not around right now.
Yeah, gosh.
I mean, would you be willing to sacrifice that to bring him to the Niners?
No, you can't bring him back right now. And look,
it was Jalen Phillips that hurt Jimmy Garoppolo.
It was.
Yeah.
Wilkins had to have been there though. I think he was part of it, but I remember he was he was sacking him that game.
I think it was Jerome Baker and Jalen Phillips that hurt Jimmy Garoppolo. So
and then
it'd be pretty fitting
and
if they brought Jalen Phillips in.
And we still kicked their ass in that game.
We did.
Brock Purdy.
Because of Brock Purdy. So we know how big of a acquisition Robert Saleh was.
Mm-hmm.
Huge. Absolutely huge. It was a game changer. But let's go to George Kittle, because he had this to say just the other day.
You know what? I think, one, Mac Jones is a fantastic quarterback. The way that he's stepped up for when Brock has not been in and led this team to a bunch of victories is incredible. He gets hit a ton of times, and he stands right back up and delivers the next pass. The way that he is in and out of the huddle. So that is one reason, I think, for our success is him. And then I say the other one is, I've said this since OTAs, Robert Saleh is the best free agent signing that we possibly got. The juice that he brings every single day, how smart he is, the way that he game plans, how he sets guys up for success, puts guys in positions to succeed, how he calls the blitzes in the right time. Like, he's just such a good coach. And I'm so happy that we got him back this year because he is a fire for our defense and he will be a fire for us. So those are my 2 things. I think that is a reason why the team is good. And then, yeah, we're gritty. You know, anytime Christian McCaffrey touches the football, you have a chance for a 7-yard play. And I know we haven't had a lot of those this year, but like teams have to prepare for that. And teams are, you know, you got to kind of be scared of Christian McCaffrey. And so I think, you know, he had 200 yards, 2 touchdowns. Hey, there's Christian McCaffrey. You're going to get a lot more of that this year.
Having heard that, obviously, yes, we know Robert Saleh, probably one of the most important acquisitions the Niners got. But also a very interesting comment that he made about Mac Jones. But I agree, Mac Jones has done a great job in stepping in for Brock Purdy during his injury. Again, I'm going to go back to the same topic that we talked about a couple of weeks ago. If Mac Jones wins Sunday, wins against the Giants, and performs at a high level, do you still roll with Mac Jones or do you go back to Brock Purdy? If it's me, I go back to Brock Purdy because he's the guy we're paying the money to. And unless he goes out there and completely lays an egg and has 1, 2, 3 really bad starts, I think you have to go back to Brock Purdy because he's your quarterback number 1. He's the guy you're paying all the money to. And really, he hasn't really done much to say, hey, this guy can't do it, but this guy can in Mac Jones. Aaron, actually, the last time I asked you first, and that started a controversy. Sterling, if Mac Jones wins these next 2 games or plays at a high level, do you think, if you're Kyle Shanahan, do you stick with Mac Jones or do you go back to Brock Purdy?
If you want to go to the playoffs, sure, you can stick with Mac Jones. If you want to win a Super Bowl, you go back to Brock Purdy. And I think that that's a conversation that I think we're having, but I think in reality, we know the answer to it. I get there's frustration with how Purdy's played through the 2 games he's played this year, and he's 1-1, and the turnovers are a problem and everything. And, you know, if Mac plays, like, here's the thing. Mac did not play good against the Buccaneers.
No.
He didn't. And that's a good Buccaneers defense that was banged up, and Baker played really good football. And
he was also hurt. He had the oblique.
Hurt. Like, yes, you are 100%. However, like, why are we having this conversation about, should the backup quarterback play if the starting quarterback is healthy?
Yeah.
Like, Mac Jones is a fine quarterback. He's a fringe starting caliber quarterback in an amazing system that makes him look really good. That's the truth. Now, I think he can have success elsewhere, but it takes, like, Mac Jones would flourish in Los Angeles. He would flourish in Cincinnati. He would flourish with teams like that, and San Francisco, of course. Whereas Brock, while yes, is being elevated somewhat because of Kyle Shanahan too, we have seen the level of play in which he's been able to possess when starting, when healthy. And the hope is that when he's healthy, he has Pearsall and Kittle, who he hadn't had in that Jaguars game.
Mm-hmm.
And the rushing attack wasn't good either. So I do think that this idea that Mac Jones could be the starter for the long term, it may last 4 more weeks at tops. But Brock Purdy's the guy. I do want to ask Aaron and Dre this, though, as well. At what point, let's say Purdy's injury continues to linger, he isn't back fully healthy, we're near weeks 10, 12. At what point do you think, or if you think Kyle Shanahan says, okay, pack it in, it's Mac Jones' team? Does the team rally behind one guy over the other? I'm not saying it's the end of Brock Purdy's tenure in San Francisco. Obviously, it's not true, but if Purdy's injury lingers for long enough, do you think they're willing to ride out the week-to-week status with him through week 16 in hopes he can get back for the playoffs? Or do you think at some point they'll kind of give a hard deadline and say enough's enough, either Mac's the guy or Purdy's the guy this season?
I feel like we get to the bye week and Purdy's still not ready to come back. I think they have to make a decision.
Yeah.
Because our bye week's pretty late this year. I'm not sure exactly what week it is.
I'd say right here.
If he's not ready, where is it?
It's week 14.
It's
week
right
14.
where Sterling's face would be located.
Okay, so if he's not ready by week 14, I mean, you have to have a serious question of, like, when is he going to be ready? So I almost, and I know a lot of people are going to push back on this, I say we ride Mac till about the bye week and then see if Brock, after those 2 weeks, is able to come back. But I'll say this, my viewpoint has changed watching Mac Jones. Mac Jones is solid, and Mac Jones will not make a ton of mistakes for the most part. But, man, the 49ers offense is super limited with him because he doesn't have the ability to extend plays. Like, plays end quickly when there's pass rush and Mac Jones face. Yes, Brock has struggled, and he's been a little bit erratic in his first 2 starts this year, one of them being that he was hurt. But the one thing about Brock that I love is his ability to extend plays and to get guys open who weren't originally open. And with Christian McCaffrey playing the way he's been and having Brock Kittle back in the lineup and maybe Ayuk, that I mean, that would be I know a lot of people are going to say, like, oh, they're just holding out hope that all those guys get healthy at the same time as Brock does, so Brock has all his weapons. Yeah, so what? Like, who cares? Like, if that's the case, let it happen. But man, I like watching Mac, but Mac does make me nervous. I feel like we leave a lot of stuff on the field when we have Mac as quarterback. A lot of plays that could be made. But hopefully they figure something out with Purdy. If he can't come back past the trade deadline, then or the bye week, and I would just say ride it out with Mac. I don't see us winning a Super Bowl with Mac Jones. I just don't think it's possible. I could be wrong, but I'm on Sterling with that one. I think Brock can get you a Super Bowl. I do not think Mac Jones is that caliber of a guy. I think they have a limitation on their offense. They're like a 20-point-a-game offense.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much where they're going to stay. He can't move. The guy can't move. He's a statue.
He made that throw on the run to Christian McCaffrey. That was a nice play. But I see what you mean, though.
You know what I mean? Like,
he did the belly flop slide. I think that
by the way,
I would agree that if he's not ready to come back by the bye week, then you need to stick with Mac Jones the rest of the way. I think it'd be a hard switch to say, okay, late in the season, to say, okay, he's ready now. Go ahead. But it also would depend on how good Mac Jones is playing during the season. So if he continues to play at a high level, if he continues to help the Niners get wins, then I think that you can ride Mac Jones. But if Brock is if he's 100%, if he's ready to come back and he's healthy, then you got to put Brock out there. I mean, the guy has proven that he can win, that he's a winner, and he's done it in the playoffs as well. Now, there are two slightly different quarterbacks. Obviously, Mac Jones has the stronger arm, I believe.
No, you just
Brock Purdy is more mobile. Yep. I think Brock is more accurate, and like most quarterbacks that are not very tall, he plays with anticipation and timing, which is his level of anticipation and timing is extremely good. So I think when healthy, yes, he should play. But if he's not ready by the bye week, I think you got to consider IR, open up the roster spot, and you got to move forward with what you got in Mac Jones. But my fear is that Mac Jones is going to end up being the 2025 playoff version of Sam Darnold. Gets in the playoffs, shits the bed, and then we go, great. And then everyone goes, so are we going back to Brock? What's going on? When really we should, because he's earned that position, in my opinion. And we're paying him a ton of money. It's not really a contract that they can get out of. Like, no, you chose this guy. He's got talent. You got to go.
Do you think that a lot of the stick with Mac Jones stuff, albeit he's winning games and playing relatively good football, and so I'm not going to knock him. It's not his fault we're having the conversation. Do you think a lot of that is more so because some fans, not us, but some fans are resentful that Purdy got paid, not because of previous quarterbacks here, just because they didn't think he was worth the money in general, and because Purdy played pretty poorly in his first two games. Like, had Purdy looked like 2022 Purdy, 23 Purdy, and was hurt, I think we would all have a different conversation. Like, the reason we're having this discussion is because Purdy hasn't played great this year, and has turned the ball over a handful of times and not been good. And I think that's the bigger issue. Like, even Joseph Ehrenberg, I think, would agree that if Purdy was showing his 2023 self in the game against the Seahawks and the game against Jacksonville, I do think that we wouldn't be having this conversation. It's clearly go back to Brock Purdy. He's a clearly better quarterback. I just think that fans have somewhat of a tainted mindset because of how 2024 went and how things weren't great, and Purdy was by far not the biggest reason because of that, and how bad he's played this year. I think if Purdy had played like he did 2 years ago, and then Mac Jones came in and won 4 of their 5 games and looks the same way he does now, we wouldn't even be having the conversation. It'd be a clear cut as like the Bengals are. Yeah, Joe Flacco's playing good enough to survive and beat some okay teams, and they're winning football games. But you go back to Joe Burrow no matter what. I think that same conversation should be had here, but because Purdy wasn't playing like his normal self, I think a lot of fans are somewhat, angry or tainted towards the franchise quarterback now.
I would say that because he wasn't a first-round draft pick, because he was Mr. Irrelevant, and Mac Jones was a first-round draft pick, I think, again, and this applies to all first-round, second-round draft pick quarterbacks, he gets the benefit of the doubt because he was big-time at Alabama. He was a first-round draft pick by the Patriots. Yeah. The guy has talent.
Sure.
And that always overrides what Brock does because he was Mr. Irrelevant. And so the comments are always, well, he's smaller. He's shorter in stature, not as big as Mac Jones. Doesn't have as strong an arm as Mac Jones. But to me, Mac Jones has done a great job. But when it comes to Mac Jones, I don't see the dynamic ability of a quarterback. I see a quarterback with a strong arm, a great understanding of the game and the playbook, and a guy who's tough, who's gritty, who will sacrifice himself to get that first down.
Yeah.
And that's all fine and dandy. I love those traits. But Brock Purdy has the intangibles, and he has that dynamic ability to make things happen that other quarterbacks don't have. We got a super chat here from Joseph Ehrenberg. He says, you win by the Brock, and you die by the Brock.
Exactly.
Go ahead, Aaron. You get it off your chest.
I feel like with Brock,
Get it off your Brock.
Get it off your Brock.
No,
And anyone in the chat, like sound off now. Who do you want to go with, Brock or Mac Jones? And just say Brock or Mac. It doesn't matter. Just I want to hear what you guys got to say as well. But go ahead, Aaron.
Brock.
Brock. I think Brock's the guy. As much as I like what Mac's been doing, but I feel like Mac Jones is doing what he's supposed to do as a backup quarterback. But I feel like again, they just leave a lot of points on the field. And like most situations, I feel like the longer he's out there, the more exposed he's going to become, and he's going to kind of revert back to what he was in New England. And that's just happens with backup quarterbacks. They're backups for a reason, and they're not going to give up on Brock. I'm sorry, they're not going to take that money and all of a sudden be like, yeah, Mac Jones is the quarterback of the future for the San Francisco 49ers. It's not happening. It's a great story, and he's played well as a backup. But I'd take Brock Purdy down the stretch healthy, with an ability to move around with a team full of weapons. I think they have a better chance to win with them. It sucks that he's been somewhat inconsistent since last season. His level of play went down.
It sucks that he's been hurt this season because to me, what he did against Seattle, yeah, he had 2 interceptions, and that's like, what are you doing? But he also threw for 2 touchdowns, and he led the team down the field to win the game.
Mm-hmm.
And some would argue, well, that touchdown really should have been an interception. Well, it wasn't.
No, it wasn't. Too bad.
And also, if you watch the opening drive by San Francisco, Brock looked sharp. Brock moved the ball down the field with big throws and scored a touchdown, throwing the ball to George Kittle. Yep. That was the Brock that I've been waiting for.
Yeah.
He got hurt in that game. The Seattle defense was all over him. We all know the Niners offensive line finally played well this past game. Didn't play well almost all week. Was very inconsistent. So he had a lot of pressure. I forgot the percentage rate at which he was pressured, but it was high against Seattle. So there was guys in his face like nonstop. But I think it's hurt him to not be out there and to watch Mac. But here's the thing, though, is that, like, yes, we've won games. But what from Mac Jones' performances have you said, dude, this guy's elite? This guy...
He's not elite.
This is a guy that I would extend on a contract to. I don't see that.
I think there's a fine line of regular season winning capable play and the ability to make plays in the playoffs. You look at quarterbacks like Jared Goff, you look at quarterbacks like Mac Jones and other guys that are the pocket passing, have to have good protection or at least good enough protection to find guys open. And you can win a lot of games with those guys. A lot of games. Jared Goff has been playing phenomenal this year and has been great for almost his entire career when you have McVay and Ben Johnson, and now this year with the Lions and their new coordinators. However, there is a very hard cap on how far you can go with guys like that. There's a reason the recent Super Bowl winners, maybe outside of Nick Foles and Tom Brady, with miraculous runs with great defenses and maybe some mistakes by the opposing teams. I think that it's been these more mobile playmaking type of guys. Mahomes, obviously, and even Jalen Hurts, who I know is a controversial quarterback in tier rankings. He's a good quarterback that's mobile and can make some plays and is coming off one of his best games ever. That said, I think that Brock Purdy, although is not Patrick Mahomes, is not Tom Brady, is not an elite quarterback. I think he's in that, tier 2, the bottom half of it for sure, but top 12, top 10 guys that you believe can get it done for you. And I think there's a difference even inside the top 15 quarterbacks. Like Dak Prescott's having a great year, having a phenomenal season in Dallas, probably in the MVP conversation. He's been that good. But we don't trust Dak come playoff time. And it's not because of the coordinating.
It's same with Lamar Jackson. He's another playoff pumpkin. He's an incredible player.
He played good last year. It was Mark Andrews who dropped the pass in the end zone.
I think the Ravens' issues are more coaching than anything, which may be the Dallas Cowboys too. But go ahead.
With Schottenheimer?
There's a point that somebody made in a comment about mouth breathers on a certain person's channel. I found it interesting that somebody was giving compliments to Baker Mayfield, and somehow a certain individual connected to a certain channel took that as an opportunity to bash Brock, which I thought was insane. So that's another reason why there is so much hate for Brock, because as you have people with a lot of reach who influence the weak-minded, the simps, and they're able to manipulate them.
Niner fan base simps.
I think that the argument that, you're paying a guy a lot of money and he's not an elite athlete that these other quarterbacks are in terms of like
athlete.
What's that?
Athlete.
That's
amazing.
But he's not a Lamar Jackson, and he's not a Josh Allen. And you can argue that he's not a Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield was making some incredible throws against the Niners. And the week before that, he made an incredible throw on the run, running to his left, and threw a corner touchdown. It was like, holy cow! And some of these guys have that ability. And so the argument that these guys, Brock Purdy is not like these guys, yet he's getting paid like these guys, I get the argument, and it makes for good conversation.
But isn't Baker like Brock and Baker are probably equally athletic? Now Baker's arm's better for sure.
Yes, Baker's arm is stronger.
But Brock can do everything Baker can do on the ground and extend plays. Like here, just put it in the context of Niners playoff games they've had. Mac Jones does not beat the Packers. He does not beat the Detroit Lions.
Nope.
And I think that is the defining line of Mac Jones is good enough in this offense to get to a playoff game. Is he good enough to win one? Maybe against the right opponent. But let's say San Francisco is competitive, and let's say they're in the wild card. Okay, that means you're playing teams like the Lions, like the Packers, like the Rams. Do you think Mac Jones, we're questioning, can Mac Jones beat the Rams in 3 weeks at home? Can he beat him in the playoffs on the road again? Now, maybe. Kyle kind of owns McVay and company, but even that game took 2 insane defensive stops to get done. And it's I think it's funny to see people that wanted to bitch and moan about quarterback wins aren't a stat. All of a sudden, they're like, oh, Mac Jones is 4-1. Mac Jones is 4-1. Okay, well, if the quarterback's wins didn't count with Purdy and Jimmy Garoppolo, then they don't count with Mac Jones.
Exactly.
Now, he's playing good. No one's saying he's not, and Purdy hasn't played great, but we can't change our tune when it benefits us the most. That's idiotic. And I think fans that are anti-Brock or whatever, they are changing their tune of Mac Jones is looking good. He's 4-1. Okay, well, quarterback wins don't count for the previous guys. They don't count for him either. Because the defense has saved this piss-poor offense for 4 of those wins.
But I think that when Brock does come back, which I think he will come back this season, I'm hoping, and I want him to succeed. I want him to come out there and play and just ball out.
He's got to
be better. If he comes back and he plays poorly, do you think the Niners will still ride him out the rest of the season, or do you think after a number of bad performances, and I'm not saying he will, okay? I'm just saying if the case comes out I'm not a hater. If he comes out and says, if he comes out and he plays poorly for a number of games, how many games can he play poorly until they say, okay, let's go back to Mac. I don't think that Brock is healthy, or he's not right, or something's wrong. Aaron?
I'm going with David said. Baker Mayfield's been in the NFL for 8 seasons. Brock Purdy's been in it 4. There's room to grow. I don't think we've seen Brock Purdy hit his ceiling of how good he could be. I think he's a fine quarterback. He's got a lot to prove, though. He's got to come back. If he's healthy, he's got to play better. If he's not healthy, don't come back. But if he comes back and he's healthy, I expect him to be closer to the 2023 version of himself. And if he's not, then that's a conversation they're going to have.
Yeah, but you
behind
can't bench
closed
him.
Doors. No,
if
you
Brock
can't.
Purdy's healthy and is playing bad, he's got to play the rest of the year. Because if you bench him, you open up a whole other door and a whole other conversation of, did you make a mistake paying him? And that is not a conversation this regime can afford to have.
Nope, they can't. They're going to have to stick with him. And people act like we're beating teams by 30 points with Mac.
We're not.
We're doing just enough. And like Sterling said, the defense has saved our ass. Our kicker has also saved our ass in some games. Okay, Pinheiro, De Niro.
That's a great point because
like a lot of
the Niners. Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, I just think people are they're overstating what has been going on with this offense. They're barely scoring 20 points a game. And I think people need to be realistic with themselves. He's been solid. He's done. The reason I think the Niners have been winning more than anything is, for the most part, he hasn't made a ton of mistakes.
Sure.
He hasn't made that game-killing interception, except,
he did against the Buccaneers.
That's the Bucs. But I'm saying, other than that,
I was like, God damn it! I'm done with this guy.
He really hasn't done that, other than that game.
Yeah.
Oh,
well, you mentioned Eddie Pinheiro, and I think it's worth mentioning last season for San Francisco. Imagine Eddie Pinheiro on the Niners last year.
Right.
Now, it may not make that big of a difference, but when you lose by 6 points against the Vikings, you lose by 3 points against the Rams, you lose by 1 point against the Cardinals, you lose by 3 points against the Seahawks, you lose by 6 points against the Rams, you lose by 6 points against the Lions. Like, there's a real conversation to be had that had they had Eddie Pinheiro last year, maybe they win 4 of those games that are one score.
Man, Jake Moody was so bad.
Like, don't forget, this team has only beaten one team by more than one score, and that was the Falcons game. Like, they're winning football games. That's all that matters. It's all we're going to be happy about. You can have 500 passing yards per game and lose, and no one cares, right? But I think it's important to say that, like, if you give Brock Purdy, Eddie Pinheiro last year, they might be a playoff team. And we're not even having this conversation, and that was one of the worst teams in football last year.
What do you think about this comment from the great Joseph Ehrenberg? If Mac had 23 BA, Debo, and CMC, we would be killing it.
Yeah, because guys would be wide open all the time. Sure.
Yeah. And then he follows up with, I miss Jake so much. Okay, so that nullifies your comment. Okay, so as we wrap things up, we got to hit on this topic, which is going into Sunday's game, 49ers versus Texans. In score predictions, okay?
Woo.
So here we go. Add this to the stage. NFL Network overwhelmingly chose the Niners to win this game, coming off the big win Sunday night against the Falcons. Only Wolf took 20-17 Texans. So looking at all these scores, which I think is probably it's pretty close to what's good, but like a lot of them are 10-point to more than 7-point wins. So they see the Niners being able to really win this game. Gordon has them 20-12. If you had to pick who's going to win this game, Aaron, what is your score prediction for this game?
I've picked against the Niners out of the last 2 weeks, and I was right on one. So,
you have to do it again.
I have a feeling.
And let's do this. If you think whoever is going to win, pick one of these scores, and that's going to be your final score.
I'm going to go 2017 Texans. I think the Texans win the game, and it's close. I'm picking that strictly because I think the 49ers, if I pick them to win, they're going to throw up on themselves or something. So
Al Shaer's going to like drive Mac Jones into the ground and injure him.
Taunt Brock Purdy like, come on. Yeah.
Then it's the Adrian Martinez game, and we're all going to be mad.
Oh, that would be really bad.
Don't say that. Oh, my God.
Curtis Rourke coming out of the tunnel to save the game.
Why did you say that name?
Oh, jeez.
Let's not go there. Come on. Okay.
Curtis Rourke.
Okay, Sterling.
I'm going to pick, I can't really see let me see here. Who was it? Is it Bucky Brooks that picked 23-17 Niners
Yes.
to get the win? That was my score prediction on my own channel's preview podcast. I think I'm going to stick with that. This is going to be a tight, close game. You have Shanahan and DeMeco Ryans, facing off for the first time since DeMeco Ryans left San Francisco. Energy will be high. San Francisco wants to retain their number one spot on top of the NFC West. Meanwhile, the Houston Texans cannot afford to fall to 2-5 this year. They're playing for their playoff lives as early as week number 8. So I'm going to go the Niners win over the Houston Texans. However, this game's going to be ugly. This game's going to be a freaking fist fight to, I think, 20 points. Whoever can score 20 points should win this game. The Texans this year, if you take away their 44-point performance against the Baltimore Ravens, are averaging under 17 points per game. They are the second worst offensive team on third downs. And the key to this game, I think, is going to be how much Robert Saleh blitzes CJ Stroud. He's the 5th lowest graded quarterback under pressure and the 9th lowest graded quarterback when passing under pressure, and he is tied for the most turnover-worthy plays and the 6th highest turnover-worthy play percentage when pressured, and has two INTs and 7 sacks when blitzed. Texans' offensive line is bad. Can the Niners get home? I think it'll take a Robert Saleh blitz fest to hopefully bring him down. So I think San Francisco wins 23-17, but I expect some punches, a lot of penalties, and a lot of energy from the defensive coordinators in this one.
3-9, Houston wins. Get out of here.
Hey, I will say this. Last night I was doing a show with Larry Krueger. He said 31-9, San Francisco wins, and it took everything in me. Love Larry, but I wanted to say, are you under the influence of something? Because 31-9 is nuts.
He gets very bullish when the Niners are doing good. I noticed that about Larry.
He's predicting the Niners are going to go in there and just totally whoop their ass.
Throttle them at home.
And
here's the. Can I say one thing?
Go ahead.
No, you can't, Aaron.
The thing that I want people to not fall into a false sense of security that they're down their top 2 or 3 wide receivers, because we went into Tampa and they were without Godwin. And they were without
Bucky Irving and Mike Evans.
And we still couldn't beat them. And I know Fred Warner got hurt in that game, and it kind of changed a lot of things mentally for the 49ers. But if I'm a 49er defensive player, I'm expecting to get a giant dose of whatever it is that they have a giant dose to give, because you can't go into that mindset thinking we're just going to roll over these guys because they're without their top offensive players. I think the 49ers, it's going to be, like you said, a defensive effort, close game, a lot of field goals for sure.
Texans also have the 1st and 4th ranked edge rushers when it comes to pass rush win rate this season. So buckle up, San Francisco's offensive line. There's actually a pretty good chance Mac Jones does get hurt in this game. He might be.
That's what I'm most worried about.
Knock on wood, but Alshire will take a shot when he gets a chance. He likes to play a little dirty at times. He's known for that stuff. And if San Francisco's offensive line, which we saw early in the season, here comes Connor Colby, looks pretty good. And as a reserve, the next game he's absolutely terrible. You got to hope Matt Hennessy isn't that. So if you are, and if those guys are not good, it could be a long day. It could be a long day, but I'm still picking San Francisco to win, and hopefully Shanahan and Mac Jones can have a Rams-esque style offensive performance. Quick passes, feed CMC and Kittle, and get out there with a win.
Sterling got to talk for a while. 7 minutes last night on Larry's show.
Well, it is Larry's show, so.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'm a guest.
He's a guest. I'm going to say Niners win this game, and I'm going to go
31-9.
No, 31-9. I think the Texans can score a touchdown against our defense. Our defense is good, but I don't think it's that good. But if I'm going to win this, or if I'm picking a winning score in this game, I was looking at this earlier. I didn't even make a decision. I'm going to go with 23-13 Niners. The Houston's offense is so bad right now, and I think that they're gonna struggle to score points. And not just because the Niners defense is going to play at a high level, it's because they're going to shoot themselves in the foot and create a lot of problems for themselves. Now, if you ask some of the odds makers, they would tell you that a 54% chance to beat San Francisco this week via Kalshi, whatever the fuck that is.
Kalshi AIBS out of here, dude.
It's
Their ads
garbage.
on YouTube are
look at the
so
picture
annoying.
they picked. He's like, huh? And this is a guy
Don't
that
even have a Getty Images account, man. Fake. Come on.
And not only that, but worse tackling teams.
It's true. It's true.
The Texans are the 31st ranked tackling team with 11.7% missed tackles. So
screen them to death.
These guys do not wrap you up. And if you want comparisons, I mean, look, I think it's funny that the Seahawks are the 30th because they're actually playing good.
Well, you know what's crazy is all three of the Texans linebackers, like the three guys, they all have a 10% plus missed tackle rate. All three of them, which isn't saying much, but like that's all three guys are that bad. Fred Warner had a 7.7 missed tackle rate, and all three of those guys have a 10+1. Not great.
That's crazy. That's crazy. But yeah, I'm taking Niners 23-13. I think they're able to score enough points to stay ahead, and the Texans just can't put together long, sustaining drives. But I'll say this, though. When you looked at last week's game against the Falcons, right? The thing that I noticed the most, because everyone was big on the Falcons, like, oh, number one ranked defense, top 5 offense. These guys are killing it right now. When they eliminated Bijan Robinson and they solely relied on Michael Penix, Penix looked awful. He was making errant throws. He was just, the pressure was coming. He just launched the ball and where nobody was at. He had the play where he threw it out of bounds. Intentional grounding, 10-second runoff. They didn't score at the end of the half.
And he was smiling the whole time. If I'm his teammate, I'm punching him in the side of the head. Like,
but again, the Niners defense, they neutralized Bijan Robinson and they forced Penix to beat them. So can the Niners do that to the Texans? Well, they don't have Joe Mixon. They have Nick Chubb, but he's coming off the ACL. He hasn't really been much of a world beater. So I think if they can shut down their running game and force it to be one-dimensional, I think that's the game plan. Don't let them run the ball. Force them to be one-dimensional and force CJ Stroud to have to keep dropping back to pass. I think that's how they end up winning this game. And how did Buffalo lose to them? You know, any given Sunday. I don't know.
Well, they have a bad defense, and nobody helps Josh Allen. It's Josh Allen or bust on that team.
It's Josh Allen versus the world.
That man is everything. If Josh Allen wasn't the starter on the Buffalo Bills, they would be a losing.
Oh, they'd be
team.
garbage.
They'd be garbage as a team.
I feel like when it comes to the Buffalo Bills or even Josh Allen, I feel like Josh Allen is the next coming of Aaron Rodgers in the sense that you have a generational quarterback, yet you cannot surround him with enough talent to beat the bigger teams like the Chiefs, who ran the gauntlet a couple years ago, and they beat the Bills, the Ravens, and the Niners. I was like, God damn it. Nobody could beat them. It's just how it goes, man.
You just brought their name up.
I did.
So you have to play it.
Why did you say that name?
Thank you.
There we go. So
you broke your own rule.
I did. So you said, Sterling, you said Niners. Aaron says
17.
Texans.
I say Texans only because it's worked in my favor once.
The reverse jinx.
I'm doing a reverse jinx. Don't actually want them to win, guys.
But we'll see what happens this Sunday. Guys, I want to thank everyone who came out today, everyone in the chat, everyone at home watching. We have, We have 257 total watching right now. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to all 3 channels, Dre Area Sports, 49ers First Takes, and 49ers Access. Make sure you follow us on X as well under those same names, Instagram, Facebook, all the social medias. And we appreciate everyone who tuned in today and contributed in the chat. Use promo code Dre Area Sports or 49ers Access when buying your tickets over at SeatGeek.com and save $20 on your first purchase. So if you want to go join the Niners and cheer them on the road, use those promo codes when you go to SeatGeek.com. It's well worth it. No, oh my God, 189 or 184. No, we're not sponsors of Pig in a Pickle, but I mean,
in a pickle,
Pig in a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California.
You gotta get the brisket chili.
You gotta get the brisket chili.
Love it so much.
No, he goes, get the brisket chili. They're all good, and get it before they run out, and they do run out. Shows you.
Hey, man.
Oh, Joseph, God. Then you have to come in here and shit the bed and say, go Dodgers. Come on, man.
Joseph, I got yelled at for calling Pearsall Princess Pearsall. You can't go rooting for the Dodgers in here, okay?
Can't do
Even
it.
though the Dodgers are probably going to win this series, but
Hey, don't you trust Trey Savage making his second ever career start in the playoffs in the World Series Game 1?
Who's starting for the Dodgers?
I don't know. Does it matter the 9 Cy Young winners they have?
It's going to be Shohei Ohtani.
Probably Yamamoto, or if not him, Glasnow.
Yeah, it's one of those two. He hit 3 home runs the other night. I was sick to my stomach. I was
My
Somebody
wife's
needs to
family
set,
is all
like,
Dodger fans. So I have to live
Somebody
with
needs to
it.
set something off in their hotel. Gets them all sick.
Dude, I kept getting notifications on my timeline like, another home run. I was like, God damn it. Well, he didn't do it in the World Series like Pablo Sandoval did, so fuck off.
And it was
All right,
against
guys.
Justin Verlander, so that also helps.
There you go. See? Niners versus Texans this Sunday, 10 a.m. Pacific time, 1 p.m. Eastern time. Will the Niners pull off another win and improve to 6-2? Or will they fall to 5-3 and be in mediocre heaven? We'll find out. We'll find out this Sunday. And guys, thank you to everyone tuning in. Make sure you subscribe to all of our channels, Your Area Sports, 49ers First Takes, and 49ers Access. Until next time, you guys, go Niners. And we'll see you guys next time. Peace!